Okay. Voilà. So welcome. I am Christine from ETF, and I'm a member of the CNL team of the Creating New Learning team. So welcome to this third webinar that we are organizing within our new community of innovative educators. So I think the reason why you are participating to this webinar on gamification, it is because you are innovative and you are curious about learning new tools that can make your teaching more attractive and more fun. So let me introduce the speaker of today, Mrs. Mimosa Anatowska. She's one of our 3 experts that are working with ETF to help building this new community. So Mimosa will introduce herself later on. Just before we really start, some technical issues. So indeed, we are recording this webinar. The main language is English, so there is no translation foreseen in any other language. In case you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box at any time. And we would like to make this webinar a bit more interactive. We are at the end also talking about gamification. And we would like that you participate to some questions and to reply to a poll. And we also have with us Haris from Bosnia, and he will share his experience as well. And if time allows, we would also like to do some let's say discussion later on. So that's all from my side. I now give the floor to Mimosa so she can start her presentation. So Mimosa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Christine. Very briefly, I'm Mimosa Anastasieva-Jankulovska. I come from North Macedonia and I'm a regional expert for Balkans, Turkey and Israel for this Creating New Learning initiative. Within this initiative, we are preparing and launching the community of innovative educators. And our first activity was to identify some of the teachers that are either innovative or want to be innovative and invite them to join the community. Some of you are already in the community, but if you have some other colleagues, friends that are willing to join, we are accepting all the eager teachers that would like to implement some innovations in their work or would like to share their experiences. Today, the topic that we think is very innovative and can be very useful in our classrooms is gamification in teaching and learning. And I will start with sharing my screen. And at the very beginning, actually, I will present to you one innovation that is not exactly in teaching and learning, but can show us what the innovation can accomplish.
Yeah.
So this was the initiative where they have created.
This is Lumen, the first device for hacking your metabolism.
What we saw was the idea of bottle arcade, where there are several holes and the lights associated with it, each hole. So you are getting points if you put the bottle in respective light and hole, and you cannot do anything with these points. They are just showing the score, but it is fun. And at the end, the boy was saying, we have the highest score, no one can beat us. So this is something that even if you are not gaining anything, but it is fun, the people are more willing to do than the other bottle collecting place where there were no points or no fun. Another example that is here, but I will not present it now, is about musical stairs. So I assume that you have seen some of them, or at least you have seen it online. And I will, at the end of the presentation, I will send my presentation to the whole group, and then also I will post it on the open space, so you will be able to follow the links and to see the examples yourself. So this fun theory is actually the initiative of Volkswagen, and they were thinking that there are some activities that if they are done with more fun, with more different approach, the people will feel better and will be engaged more. And as we can see for the first example, it was really the case. After this, there was another idea of the community actually with the speed camera. And as we know, the speed camera is actually catching the limit, the speed of the cars. And if you are over the limit, you will be punished. But the idea was, why only to punish people? Why not to reward those that are driving safe and within the limits? So this speed camera lottery was actually giving the lottery tickets to all that were driving within the speed limits. And the research showed that it was 22% decrease in the speed in that town. So again, it was a small thing, but make a rather big change. So we are talking about gamification and using of games. So what can we, how can we explain what is the game? The game is something that have some rules, have some outputs and outcomes, what we can accomplish, what the player can accomplish. And player is attached to an outcome and is willing to accomplish that outcome. So we need, in games, the outcomes are presented in a way so it will be appealing to a player. Gamification is not only using games in any environment. Gamification is using these game-like elements that exist in games and game design techniques, how to design some activities and what kind of game-like elements to include, so that the people will be more motivated to be engaged either in learning or in some other activity. And this has been already implemented a lot in commercial sector, and there are also some social media activities where there are some parts of gamification. And we will see today that there is also gamification in schools. It is probably not very widespread, but there are good examples of that too. What are existing gamification? As I said, in companies and in commercial sector, it is more widely spread. So we have all heard about the employer of the month or salesman, saleswoman of the month. Based on some criteria, the employees are ranked, and then they are receiving some prizes. probably, I think we all have at least one card of some of the big stores with which we are collecting points and then having some benefits. Those that are flying often are aware of frequent flyer programs of different airline companies or consortia. Even with purchasing, not only in Starbucks, but in some, nowadays in a lot of cafes, they have their own like cards where you are collecting coffees or drinks or smoothies. And if you purchase 5 smoothies, you will get the 6th extra. So these are things that are game-like elements included in the sales, in the economical sector of commercial sales. Even LinkedIn, I think that almost all of us have already a profile in LinkedIn, but even LinkedIn is trying to make it more interactive, more appealing, and trying to assess your strength of your profile with putting them as beginners, intermediate, advanced, and so on. So they are trying to make us improve the data that we are putting online on our profile, and in order to reach higher strength, higher profile. There is one thing that I'm really fond of is Duolingo is application. It is free for learning a language, and they are very good in gamifying this learning. In this application, you're receiving points, for example, if only they're counting days. So if every day you just enter and do some activity, the days are counted, so all the subsequent days, how many times you have entered, and then you are receiving points. Based on your activity during a week, you are placed in a league. So you can go from one league to another, you can progress or digress if you're not so active and you're not learning well. If you have ranked in one of first 3 places, you are receiving additional points, additional badges. If you have learned a lot of new words in the week, you're receiving something additional. And these are things that, for example, this is Duo is the small all, I think, and with these points or badges, you can put a dress on that. So it is not something that, of course, you can use in the real world, but is something that still is motivating and is making the people to be more active and to continue learning. And I think this is very, very good example of how gamification can be used. Saying all this and all the examples that we can have in our private life or even in professional life, I wanted to ask you, what is your opinion and how are you using it? So I'm stopping my screen sharing and giving the floor to Christine.
Thank you, Mimosa. So hello, everyone. So you will see that in the chat, I have shared a link to the Mentimeter to ask you to participate to a poll. So it's not very complicated. You will see the first question would be about what kind of game-like elements that you are already using, maybe in your private life or in your professional life. We know Mimosa will explain later on more about these game-like elements, but maybe it's just to find out what you already know and what you're already using now. You just have to move the little circle in the middle. At the left is that you're not using at all or very little. If you move a bit to the right, it's a fairly amount or very much. When you have replied to the question, you just have to put submit. And I will now also share my screen so we can also see the results of the poll. Just a second, because now I'm hiding. Okay. Okay, there are still some people, I think, that have to participate. Okay, we are not forcing anyone, of course. Okay, so we can say that, okay, the thing like game-like elements of ranking things like, okay, it's something that we can easily use, or also, okay, using badges or rewarding or giving prizes. I think it's okay, even a bit more popular. And then time. So I think also indeed with you know, in the classroom, that's very often, you know, counting, using a system to count back and to put a time constraint, collecting points. Okay, thank you so much. I think this is the first poll. Thank you. We will continue because later on we will even learn more about game-like elements, and we will ask another question later on. So thank you for your participation. Back to you, Mimosa.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm
okay. I also saw now a reaction that from Fabio in the chat, that of course in the personal life there are many elements of gamification that you can do with your kids, so that's great. So maybe Fabio, later on you can share some of your experience, that I think would be useful. But we continue now first. Thanks.
Okay, so now we discussed about the private and professional life. Let us see one example of Norwegian school, how they have used already existing game in classes in education.
Til en annen skole i et dataspill. Så må den som spiller ofte ta mange valg. Slik er det også i et zombiespill som har blitt en del av etikkundervisningen på en videregående skole i Bergen.
En spillkonsoll er en del av undervisningsmetoden i denne klassen.
Spiller et spill, og jeg prøver å komme gjennom spillet med hvor vi gjør de stort sett riktige etiske valgene i forhold til hva klassen her da har bestemt.
Zombie-dataspillet Walking Dead blir brukt i religionsundervisninger for å lære elevene etikk på en engasjerende måte.
Jeg ønsker en god katalysator for diskusjoner om etiske teorier, eller etiske dilemmaer. Og da danner det altså det spillet et rom som elevene kan navigere innenfor, med utgangspunkt i pensum.
I 2 uker har spillet blitt brukt i denne klassen med positive resultat.
Elevene synes er veldig motiverte, og at de er engasjerte, og når man er engasjert i stoffet man jobber med, så lærer man bedre. I tillegg så gir The Walking Dead en del dilemmaer som de ikke ville tenkt på ellers, og da blir svarene deres i mye større grad deres egne. Er det rett av Glenn å forsøke å redde denne kvinnen? Jeg har 4 alternativer dere kan velge stemme over.
Elevene tar anonyme avstemminger når etiske spørsmål kommer opp.
Oi, det var jevnt. Skal vi se, men det er altså 15 for og 10 imot.
Etterpå har de diskusjon om resultater.
Jeg tror du gjør det for å hjelpe folk.
Jeg skjønner jo virkelig hva dere mener.
Vi har jo noe om etikk som tema, og måten de gjør det på med at vi diskuterer alle etiske dilemmaer vi kommer opp i og alt sånt, har gjort at jeg har lært mer om forskjellige etiske modeller og måter å tenke på.
Føler du at du lærer religion bedre?
Opp imot etikk så føler jeg det hjelper ganske greit egentlig.
Det er jo ikke vanlig at jeg kan alt etter en undervisningstime. Det er jo sånn at du lærer alt når du leser til prøver og sånt, men nå føler jeg at jeg kan alt på en måte.
Om 5 år så håper jeg jo at det er flere som bruker dette her.
Det kan nok godt hende.
So as I hope that it was easy to understand and to see, the teacher was using already existing game, Walking Dead, in classes of subject ethics, and he let the students discuss, agree what they want to accomplish, and then start playing the game and make decision while playing. And after that, they were discussing what decision they made, were they correct, from which point of view, how they were thinking, what they were thinking of. And as they are saying in the video, this is something that they will never forget, because it was very interesting for them, and I think different. So it was very fruitful, and the results of learning, I think, are very good in this way. This is one example where we are, the already existing game is used. Of course, not everyone is so privileged that there will be a game on the subject that you are teaching. So that's why we are going on now with different examples. And next example is how the game-like element, like digit coin, was used in vocational dental school. I'm very happy to say that today with us, we have Haris Hamzic, who is the teacher of mathematics in this school. He was rewarded the best innovative teacher, and he will tell us exactly how what are these digit coins, how they are using them, how have the student accepted them, and much more about this. One more thing before I give the floor to Haris is that he will be doing the presentation in English. And of course, if you have some questions, you can write in a chat the questions in English, or those that are not very proficient in English, they can either write either in Macedonian or in Bosnian, no problem. We will understand and we will answer that question. If there is a question in Bosnian, even it can be, the reply can be in Bosnian, so it is not a problem. So now I'm stopping sharing my screen, and Haris, please go on.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Mimosa. I will share my screen to show you. Okay, do you see presentation? Okay, thank you.
Maybe put it in. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine, Haris. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Haris Hamzic. I'm teacher of mathematics in secondary dental school in Sarajevo. In year 2060, I was awarded to most innovative teacher in Bosnia and Herzegovina. After that, in 2019, I was nominated for Teacher of Year in Canton of Sarajevo. After that, I created the teacher's manual for digit coin in school, and I will tell you something about my method, digit coin. In this presentation, I will tell you how did the idea for digit coin came about, what is digit coin, how to win digit coin, what is the DC credits, what type of credits we have in my school, who does not have rights to use credits, and I will show you the credits limitations or restrictions for students. How did the idea for digit coin came about? All my life I do with numbers, and I can tell you that imagination is all for me. As August de Morgan said, the initiator of mathematics is not reasoning, it's imagination. When I came in secondary dental school, one professor said me, don't try too hard, you will never teach them mathematics. Then I created digit coin. I want to do math on different type. I created digit coin that was something like game. Digit coin is mathematical currency in secondary dental school. The students who owns DC digit coin has the opportunity to choose one of credits, and that digit coin can be used during the school year. How they win digit coin? Students can win digit coin for class activity. For the prize task, the students win 2 digit coins. All students who finished 5 assignments on time, they win 1 DC. If students noticed an error when I solving some example, they win 1 DC. And for every 40 tasks, medium difficulty, students win 1 DC. 1 DC. If there are not negative grades on the test, all students who get a grade of 2 win 1 DC, a grade of 3 wins 2 DC, grade 4 wins 3 DC, and grade 5 is awarded for 4 DCs. If there are negative grades on the test, only those students who received a higher grade compared to the previous test, or students who received grade 5 win 1 DC. Students who do not make any absences on the end of semester win 20 DCs. If they have 1 to 3 absences, win 10 DC. 4 to 6 absences win 5 DC. 7 to 9 absences get 2 DCs. What they can do with digit coins? With digit coins, they can use some credits. I split credits in 2 categories. First category is credits for whole class, and second is individual credits. These are some credits for whole class. They can postpone the test for the next time, and that costs 10 DCs. They can lower criteria by 10 points, and that costs 25 DC. Repeat test and the same task, 40 DC. 2 days before, I give him 40 tasks, and which 16 identical will be on the test. They can use free time, that costs 10 DC, and students can compose a test that costs 45 DC. They can reserve the task on the test, and that costs 50 DC. Individual credits can be increased grade, that costs 5 DC. They can enter 2 grades, 7 DC. They can be spared that day, 4 DC, plus 25 points on tests, 8 DC. They can decrease the number of win points by 10 points and give friends 1 DC. They can do not enter grade, 3 DC. Replace grade with a friend, 2 DC. They can replace group on tests, that costs 4 DC. They can use friends help on tests, and that costs 4 DC. They can use calculator on tests, and that costs 2 DC. Or use notebook on tests, approximately 2 minutes, and that costs 3 DC. And they can use plus 5 points on tests, and that costs 1 DC. Or using formula on test, 2 DC. Students can lose the rights to credits if they don't win DC during the month, or if they out of 5 tasks or quizzes, they do less than 3 tasks or quizzes, and they will cut copying or inappropriate behavior in and out of school. They have some credits restrictions. Students cannot use one type of credit more than once on the same test, but it is allowed to use more than one different credits. For example, they can use plus 5 points and increase the grade. Students cannot use credit increase the grade if they don't have at least 20 points. If student takes credit plus 25 points, then he or she cannot use credits plus 10 or plus 5 points. If students use credits to substitute grades, both grades must be entered. The students cannot choose credit not to enter grade if she or he does not have at least 10 points. And if student chooses credit not to enter the grade or to be spared, the credit values are doubled on repeated test. If the students want to give her or his 10 points to another friend, then she or he cannot use credit to increase his points. If more than 5 of the 14 tasks are incorrect, the students do not win a single DC. And after 5 years, I can share some results. Digit coin increase student activity. The average of proceed tasks per student is about 250 tasks. There was a small number of negative grades, and we reduced number of absences. And very important for me is that students show a high degree of collegiality. I can tell you a few things about digit coin. It was first applied in teaching of mathematics in school of year 2015-16, in secondary dental school, that's my school. Professors of chemistry and physics began to apply a new teaching method. After that, in school year 2060-70, digit coin is used by high school Obala, primary school Behoudin, Selmanovic, etc. This method of evaluating students' achievement is very simple, easy to apply, and readily accepted by students. The initial idea of this method was recognized by students, and that is developing knowledge in students, not sanctioning ignorance. This is some extra. This is teacher's manual, which I created last year. On the right side, you can see how it looks like a digit coin. I have example 1 DC and 5 DC, and now I will show you one video.
Najveći problem je za mene bio motivisati učenike da krenu da rade. Cilj je bio da oni nauče logički razmišljati. Ja smatram da svaki nastavnik, svaki profesor može od tog predmeta napraviti bauk, a isto tako može napraviti zanimljiv predmet.
Profesore, možemo li mi odgoditi ovu pismenu?
Može, ali to će vas koštati 10 coina.
Ajte da skupimo 10 coina.
Što se tiče kriterija na osnovu kojih oni zarađuju digit coine, najčešći način jeste da prerade više zadataka. Nakon svakih 40 prerađenih zadataka, kad ih ja pregledam, ako su ispravno urađeni, dobijaju po jedan digit coin. Mi ne poklanjamo digit coine koje će on nekad kasnije uložiti. Znači, on se mora dobro potruditi da ih zaradi. U dosadašnjoj primjeni digit coina, znači, primijetili smo sljedeće. Prvo, znači, nije bilo učenika da nije uradio bar 200 zadataka. Ne znam koji bi učenik bio motivisan na drugi način da uradi 1900 zadataka. Da mu ja kažem uradi 1900 zadataka, sigurno nikad ne bi uradio.
Ovako kad radimo zadatke za vježbu, znamo da ćemo dobiti nešto i to je od velike pomoći i ljepše se osjećamo i kasnije to možemo da iskoristimo. Sada kako je moja prijateljica rekla, imamo puno želje jer je sav naš trud nagrađen sa coinima, a na kraju sa zaključnim ocenama.
Ostali profesori su iz par predmeta primijenili sličnu metodu jer se pokazalo zaista dobro. Možda oni ne bi, nego su ih učenici tražili su od njih da i oni uvedu tu metodu. Moje je da ih uputim, da im pokažem način na koji će oni krenuti da rade. Sve ostalo je na njih. Što se tiče noviteta u nastavi, većina nastavnika ima odbojnost prema tome, jer ne žele promijeniti standarde. Jer ako promijeni nešto tradicionalno, nešto, odmah ispada iz tog obruča u kojem su svi. Ja smatram da ne treba puno, zaista ne treba puno da se pokrene prvo nastavnik, a onda i učenici.
That will be all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Haris. This is really great example, and it shows that it can be done. Your experience, you have been implemented it for several years now, and the students are improved in achievement, in motivation for work. So this is great, and it is not something that requires a lot of technology. And now for us, it is even easier because we have all your experience and all your examples how to earn coins, how to spend coins, what can be the limitations. So thank you very much. This is great.
Thank you.
One question, can we share your presentation on open space so that the other teachers will also see, because I know that there were a lot of people that registered for this webinar, but for whatever reason they are not willing to, they are not participating now, but I'm sure that they will come and check the recording, because I was asked if we are recording this and they will go back and check. So can we put your presentation online?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much. Now let's see, there were some questions.
Yes. Maybe so first there are some congratulations from the participants on this example, this great example, Harris. Another question is, okay, did you feel some resistance by your school management and colleagues? And also, okay, do you think that a traditional teacher would be ready to use this methodology? And if not, how you could convince them?
In my school, after 1 year, 2 professors starting with Digit Coin, that was professor of chemistry and physics. My school is secondary dental school, and most of subjects are pomozi mi Mimoza, stomatološki predmeti.
Vocational, dental vocational subjects.
Yeah. After my presentation in Sarajevo, many professors of mathematics, physics, chemistry, and some teachers in lower grades started with Digit Coins in her school. In Bihać, Mostar, Banja Luka, few teachers starting with Digit Coin.
Thank you. And what about the school management? Yeah, let's say the directors of the school, are they, let's say, motivating teachers to do that, or what's their, let's say, opinion about that?
My management was very surprised when I present Digit Coins, and my director Elvira helped me to share my experience with other schools, with others countries, and I can say that I was very hopeful with Digit Coins, and I have now I have a situation to present to you, and I can say that Digit Coins are very interesting for students. That's most important.
Thank you. Yeah, and you were also recognized for this with the award, so I'm sure that's also very motivating. So again, it shows that also awards and prizes, it helps. It's part of the gamification as well. Are there any more questions?
May I ask also, what about the parents actually? Because we've seen that the students are very motivated, they are willing to do, but again, there are, even with the older students, like secondary school students, there is influence from the family. How the parents were accepting that at the beginning, were they changed, their opinion was changed at the end? How, can you tell us a little bit more?
One day, teacher comes to me and said me, what did you do with Aina? I said, what did I do? Their parents come to me and said that Aina comes at home and she win 1 DC. What is DC? She was very happy. And then I tell what is DC, and one parents tell me this is a game where everyone wins. You wins, teacher wins, students win, and at least parents wins. They are very, very happy.
Great, great. Okay, thank you very much. I think that we have answered the questions.
Yes.
Yes. So,
yeah, there are no more questions at the
yes.
time being.
If someone thinks of additional question, Haris will be here with us till the end, so you can also write, and we will take the questions and answers at the end also. Haris, can you stop screen sharing so that I can continue?
Okay. Did I stop?
No, not yet.
I stopped sharing.
Okay, let me try. Stop. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes, Fabio is saying that it is the most convincing gamification example that I have seen. So, yeah, I agree, and I liked it a lot. I was very happy when Haris agreed to join us and to share this idea, this experience, because it is not our idea, it is already experience that is working.
You will see, Haris, it will not be the first time you will be sharing your experience.
Yes, hopefully
when we
yes.
Yeah, when we post the presentation and everything on open space, hopefully more teachers will come and ask questions and maybe your suggestions for them to implement this. Okay, so let us continue with the presentation. So this example was actually the contrary of the previous one. The previous one from Norwegian school was already existing game, but this example was actually very useful for everyone because this example can be used in any school for any subject. So, and does not require any technology or a lot of additional resources and tools. So I will speak a little bit more about game elements. The first element that I will not present because we've heard a lot about the coins. So coins or points, however you decide to call them and to use them. We have one example of Haris, how were they using coins. Of course, depending on your subject and your class and your students, you can maybe adapt this usage, earning and spending coins. But in any case, the coins are one of the core elements of game in gamification. Another very, very important thing is that the students need to know what is the desired outcome, what the result they need to accomplish in order to be engaged more. And with points or coins, let's say, we are actually indirectly we are showing them what we want them to accomplish. But also if we have learning outcomes and if we are designing the way to achieving learning outcomes, it will be good if we can include students as much as possible in this designing the way how to reach the learning outcomes, so that when they are engaged in the designing the path, they will be also more engaged in following that same path. Ranking is something that students like, and probably is in human nature also to like and to see your own name upper in the ranking board. And ranking can be different. Again, it is on you to decide. Maybe you will rank all the students in one class. Maybe you will rank groups of students, or depending what you want to accomplish. If you want to accomplish collaboration and synergy in a class as one, maybe you will rank the classes between themselves, and then you will enforce collaboration between students in one class. But it is good to have, you can decide on the time period, but it may be daily or weekly or maybe monthly winners when you reset and start from the very beginning. And the winners should be somehow rewarded. They should receive some recognition for that. And it can be small things. It can be things, let's say, like putting their names on the board of the school, or maybe on the website, or they can have some more privileges, like stay later in the school, or maybe overnight in a school, or something like that, that the other students do not have. So that the ranking itself is good, but you need also to think of some way of recognizing and rewarding the winner, either winner individual or winner group. And with this ranking, we are also giving, at the same time, we are giving feedback to students. How are they progressing? What have they done well or not so well? So that they will know in the future how to continue and be higher on the ranking board, but at the same time be better in learning or in collaboration. Another thing that, again, is very easy to implement is using of avatars. Students, even older students, are very keen on avatars, and they can there can be avatars for each of the student, or they can be avatar for a group of students, depending how you are planning to do your work or how you will be working on that specific section. But giving the students the chance to select their own avatar and to design their own avatar, is something that is, again, engaging and motivating for them. Another game-like element is content unlocking. I'm sure that every one of us have played some game in which you are progressing in different levels, and in each level the new content is opening and you need to do another new things. It is actually very easy for schools because the schools work in this way, but we are not calling that as content unlocking, or the approach is not like that. It's not like game. So if just we shift a little bit our speaking and our presenting that to the students, it will be more interesting for them, and we can give them a different assignments in order to unlock some content, some specific content. And of course, we need to follow carefully if they have done the assignment, how many assignments have done, or quests, or hours have spent studying. So we need to find something that we can measure, and then we can let them go further and unlock another content. And again, if there are different groups of students working on the same, of course, in same class, they will compete with each other in content unlocking and trying to go further and further and to accomplish more in the learning. Time constraint is something that we have for some things in education, but not for everything. Time constraint is one game element that is very, very present in games. And in games, usually we have some time limit in which we need to accomplish some task. This is very good to try to have it in schools, in education, because this is making students more focused, and they will try to do more work, and they will try to accomplish more in the given time frame. There are some things that we can use this time constraint. For example, I think that in Harris's example, the students were allowed to retake the test if they pay with the coins. We can use that example, or we can say we can give you a possibility to retake the test, but then the time will be shorter. So we can play with this so that the students will be more motivated, because if we just give them the time constraint and the students did not achieve anything the first time, then they will be it will be worse, they will be demotivated. So we need to find some approach how to use the time constraint as in a games, but for our advantage to motivate students. And there are different options to do that. Very important part of the gaming is that you can repeat the activity, the game, you can play the game as many times as you want until you are not happy with the result, until you did not reach the desired outcome. And this is something which is difficult for us to implement in education, because we don't have a lot of time. We are restricted with some limits. And not only the class hours, because we can have some activities that they can do at home, like homework, but still we need to find some activities that students can do as many times as possible in order to reach desired outcome. Some students want to have the highest grade, 5. So we need to provide the questions to them so that if they take them several times, if we are having, let's say, 10 questions, it will be very easy for them. They will learn by heart the answers. But if we have more questions, then they can retake the exam several times until they are happy with the grade then they have. But this is not very easy element that can be implemented, but is very crucial, because this is something that is, I think, the most important part of the gaming. And actually, I've tried and did some research before this webinar and spoke with several students. Why do you like so much gaming and what is important for you there? And the one answer that appeared from everyone is that I can repeat the game and I can play the game until I'm happy, satisfied with the result, with the outcome. So this is something that has a potential to be implemented in a school. Then we can have some badges or some achievements recognition for specific tasks, either for unlocking specific content or reaching some position in the ranking, or using some material for so many times. For example, in Harris's example, they had some coins for doing assignments. So this can be also, they can receive coins, but after every 100 assignments, they can receive a badge, and then it will be like advanced assignment solver and so on and so forth. These badges are something that we can easily do. They do not cost at all anything. It can be even imaginary badges we can just write down on a notebook, but will engage students more in working and trying to learn. And it is the same with rewards and prizes. It is good, if possible, to engage students in defining what are the prizes and rewards they want to accomplish, and until which, what will be the limits, the milestones that they will reach in order to get that reward or prize. And then again, the students will be more rewarded, more engaged if they have these rewards. There is there are several other game elements, and actually in the link below that you can visit and check, there are 50 game-like elements that you can use in your classrooms. I want to stress the first, actually, a team-based escape room. And this is something that just last night I have received from a colleague from Open Space as a link. And I will be, at the end of the slides, there are additional reading materials, and the link is there, so you can reach that research paper, and you can see the information about the team-based digital escape room that was used. And this is something that also can be, I think, not very difficult to implement in education. It does not necessarily has to be digital and has to be technology-based. We can use the assignments that we already have with our students and just a little bit play with them and organize team-based escape rooms. So when they solve all assignments, then they can have the key. So this is something that there are some options and possibilities to work and to have this these game-like elements or other game-like elements depending on your class, your subject that you're teaching, and of course your personality of yourself, because of course teachers, we as teachers are all different. Important thing is not to overburden yourself and your students. So if you want to introduce some change, start small. Select what you think that can be the most appealing game-like elements to your students, 2-3 game-like elements, and start implementing them. Because remember, you need to prepare your students first, you need to explain to them, first you need to prepare your management actually, then you need to prepare your students, but also the parents have a say. So you need to, maybe you will need to prepare your parents also. So don't start very big and then not to scare some of them and to make them not want to participate, but start very small and try to engage everyone so that you will have support of the managers, you will have your students engaged, and also you will have support of the parents.
Okay, thank you, Mimosa. Maybe before we move on with the next poll, let's take some questions. And before, just a final note on what you just said, that indeed starting small is an important message, because our colleague Fabio also says that gamification failure is often connected to starting big and doing it alone. So that's just to confirm what you just said. About the game-like elements, you talked about this try and fail, you know, about when students can redo an exam or a test. Could you maybe go in more detail? I mean, maybe this try and fail method is more feasible when you do the formative assessment rather than summative assessment, or use it use this technique as assessment as learning rather than doing the tests as we know them. Can you go?
Yes, I absolutely agree. And maybe I should have mentioned that in my presentation. Try and fail should be done as formative assessment, definitely. Yeah. Not as final exam or final test grade. No, but during the course, during the learning, this is something that should be used, because we all want students to learn more, to achieve their potential. And with this try and fail, actually, we are letting them do it. And they have an impression that it's their own choice that they are doing it, but actually we are kind of suggesting that choice. So yes, definitely try and fail is not something for the final exam. It is something for formative assessment.
Yeah, it's a process of their learning, of course. Yes. Okay, any other question on the game-like elements that Mimosa just discussed? There is some, we will have a discussion also later, but if there is something burning question now, we can take it. If not, okay, I will share again the link of the Mentimeter in the chat for a second question. Let me first share it and then I will explain. Voila. So this second question is really about, what do you think, who will accept the quickest the introduction of gamification in education? Will it be the parents, teachers, students, the school management, or the local environment? Local environment could be also maybe students groups or the enterprises around the school. It may be some local environment. So you make the choice from the selection bar. So if you grade 1, that's then you choose the ones that are the easiest convinced to use the gamification, and 5 are the ones that are the most difficult convinced. So if again, you can click then on submit, And I will also share now the screen. I don't see anything moving. Let me go back. Oh, wait, just a second. The game-like element is not participating. Let me go back again to see what's going on.
Maybe we answer to another set of questions.
Do we have to? So you have to take the question. Who do you think will accept the quickest? Did you see it in the link? You see it on the, now it's coming up. It's coming up. Yes. Perfect. Okay. So indeed, okay, as we expected, the teachers, although the students are at the lowest, which is maybe quite surprising, but we think that the teachers, the parents, school management, local vibe. Okay, now okay, that makes a bit more sense. Maybe there was a confusion between 1, the quickest, and 5, the lowest. So this makes more sense. So indeed, it's good to see that. Okay, now students are coming on the top. I'll wait a bit, because now maybe 1 or 2 persons could maybe still vote a little bit. Okay, no, what we can see that, okay, school management, parents, okay, there is a bit of a swap here now, but okay, good to see that we think that students are the ones that are the quickest convinced about using gamification in school, followed by teachers and school management. So that's a positive note, I think, Mimosa. So
yeah.
Back to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, actually, I wanted to give the floor to the participants and to ask your opinions. What do you think? Do you think that this can be useful for you, your classes, your students? What do you think that maybe you have some constraints? What are your worries, concerns? So that let us hear a little bit more, if there is, from the participants. What do you think about the game-like elements, the examples that we had here? Do you think that you can maybe implement something similar? Maybe you have tried already, maybe. So if the participants have some experience or maybe some questions. And again, let's language not be a barrier. We can try to do some translation or summary of whatever you ask. I think that most of the languages of the participants can be covered.
Mimosa, just perhaps a quick comment. First of all, congratulations for the good overview on the pillars of gamification in education. That is was quite a very holistic view of the topic, and bringing in with Haris also a very concrete example. Well, I was a teacher in that before working in my professional career during the university time, and I have to say that somehow we were even gamification was something that we were trying to make it without, I mean, to engage, making them working in groups, So having some competitions and so on, but we were lacking really the necessary skills maybe and understanding. Now I think it's much more. My comment is so I, as a teacher, I was not so much using it at that time. There was no really awareness of the benefit of gamification. We were trying to use it, but in a very spontaneous, as human being way to engage, to bring in all. But now I think this is what made listening to your presentations. What is quite evident for me that gamification is maybe really at the heart of major teaching and learning innovation, because could really foster. I mean, Harris was mentioning his experience in a subject, but thinking to a competence-based approach, thinking to, as I was writing for formative assessment, or Yolene was mentioning assessment as learning. I mean, the gamification could really be an element for engaging learners. So individually. So this is a value. So I see gamification as really an element for innovation in teaching and learning through, for example, targeting a competence-based approach. And as a group, I see that also has an important value. Because you have to negotiate, you need to really convince them, other colleagues, to do something. So the class digital coins was a really clear example that I needed to persuade some my classmates to. So this is really helping to educate as a citizen in complex society, where you have to. So I see it really for individual and for the class really important value in implementing. And of course, my last comment is that we need really to be step by step in this process, but as often is happening, the assessment could be really the first one good driver to bring in gamification. Mm-hmm. And then it could come to more class activities, but assessment pointing to more formative approaches, that would be really a good entry point, I would say. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. One thing I also want to stress is that, first of all, when we say gamification, it is not only games, it is not only computer games. Sometimes, usually it is kind of misunderstood, and it is thinking, yeah, we need to, how can the teacher prepare some game for a student? No, that's why I was trying to have different examples to show that we can have game-like elements in every class, in every subject. And another important thing is that when you mention gamification, usually it is associated with smaller kids. It is not. First of all, it is in our human nature to be playful and to work with others and to just have fun. And it is important that we have good examples of implementation of gamification in secondary schools, because we need to use the gamification in every part of the education, not only with smaller kids. It is not just for smaller kids, and actually it may have very, very good results with older students too.
Is there someone else who would like to share something? Otherwise, we move on.
There was a comment in a chat from Fabio that we need to actually engage students, that he agrees with that we need to engage students as much as possible in developing, in designing these gamification elements and steps, because whatever they are engaged with, they will continue implementing, of course, and it will not feel like someone is enforcing something to them. Yeah.
What I also personally liked is that these game-like elements are not only used for, let's say, the individuals, but also for group purposes, you know, which enhances and also teamwork and so on. I think it's something that also we need to consider. It's not only about one student, but also the group, the whole class. This is something that I also now learned today. Okay, I think Mimosa, looking at the time, we still have, let's say, 10 minutes, so we are fine. Yeah, if there are no more questions or anyone who would like to share any experience that he or she is doing.
Yeah, I can just add one component which falls into the sphere of informal learning, most probably, which is the game jams. I don't know if you're aware of these sort of hackathons, basically lasting a few hours until a few days, where basically young people or developers combine in multidisciplinary groups to create games, to design games, to do from storyboard to development. And some of these are incredible. There is, I think, the biggest one, the biggest global one is, like, if I remember well, a week long. It's global, and the game they produce without any, you know, industry behind is incredible. They are incredible. They really look like professional games, of course, sometimes with this indie feeling, but it's really impressive. And actually, this makes me, my main consideration is that, I mean, educators should not think of competing with professional games, so typically commercial games, but should use them, as the example you made with the zombie thing. I mean, you can use games in very clever ways, provided you respect the license and a number of things. But actually, in many cases, they've seen some money invested into the production of game, which actually, again, failed because it's not comparable to a professional one. So not as nice as a professional one, and at the same time is not developed together with the students. If you develop with the students, like in a game jam, actually whatever you produce, even if it's a super simple and super basic, then participants will normally stay engaged. That's my experience.
Thank you so much. I see that, yes, I see now.
Merab wanted to say something.
Indeed, I was trying, while Fabio was speaking, I was trying to unmute. I requested Merab for unmuting, but nothing is happening. I'll try it again. Merab, ask to unmute, because I'm clicking on the microphone, on his microphone, and I don't know why I cannot unmute. Can you try Mimosa, because you are
I did, yes, I did also. It stays the same.
It's not moving.
Yeah.
No, that's such a pity. Ask to unmute.
Maybe if you can transform him into a co-host, he will be able to speak.
That is a good idea.
No, but I cannot even, you know, because it is easy to click right. If I go right click, it does not even want to do it. Really strange.
So Merab.
More. Ask the pin. Make co-host. Okay, make co-host. Yes. Okay, now Merab, you are now co-host. So try to that you can speak now. No, still not. No. No, sorry, I'm so sorry. No, maybe if there's something, maybe you can share in the chat, Merab, and we have to see for the next webinar how we can solve this issue. That's something that's
strange. Yes.
First time I experienced this, I must say. I'm really sorry. I'm very sorry for that. Okay, then I think Mimosa, you can continue. Oh no, I was also when Fabio was talking, I was also saying now. Okay, how hype and how big this gamification is nowadays, and also how popular now this new Korean series is on Netflix, which is also about actually gamification. Oh, it is a big success. So yeah, I think it's something really in education we have to maybe use more of this gamification and game-like elements. So, okay, on this note, I give the floor back to Mimosa.
Thank you. I have just received in chat the quick note from Merab. He's saying that he wanted to say that gamification also works fine with adults. In their lifelong learning trainings, they promised certificates, promising at 10% more participation is included. If they are promising certificates, right? I hope that I understood it well. So this is actually, this shows that the potential of gamification is very big, and we need to try to find ways to start implementing it and start to using all the potential and benefits from it. I can see that there are some people that are just joining us. Welcome, Asya Tureniyazova. We actually, probably it was the problem with the time.
Yes, we had some technical problems.
Okay, so we are kind of finalizing our discussion, and we are towards the end of this discussion, but I would like to say that we are recording everything and it will be put on open space, so you will have an option to hear and see, and whatever you have as a question you can put as a comment on that post that will be on open space, and we are all present there every day, so we will discuss.
Okay, I think we
can go to the next poll, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I will post again. It's always the same link, but I will post it again in the chat. This is the last question we will ask you. Voila. And this question is really, what kind of game-like elements you think are the easiest for you to implement in your classroom? So here you will see that we have added more game-like elements because now you know more about them. Again, the same, the left is little and the right is very much. So somewhere in the middle is the fairly amount. I will now also share the screen. I hope it will now go to the correct one. Where are we? Apply. Wait. Let me see where. With the bar, you cannot always see where you are. It's always difficult. Okay. Okay. You see the right one, Mimosa? Correct one?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. So don't forget to click on submit when you have replied. I don't see any results coming up, so I'm wondering how come. You see anything moving? No, huh?
No.
Is it because
it seems that are hidden? No, there is a button there. Yeah, you see.
Wait. There's a show results. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Alex. I didn't see that. Okay. So what's the most, let's say, not maybe popular, but things that are the easiest to implement is the collecting points. Yes, I can, and also the batching the prices.
Yeah.
So these are the two, which is, oh yeah, I think myself also probably the most, also the ranking.
Mm-hmm.
the ones on the let's say the points of losing points, life, decrease of time, which is, let's say, the more newest, maybe that it's maybe could be more developed still in the future. But the collecting points, I think also the example of Bosnia is also a bit linked to this. It's the most popular. Okay, Mimosa, would you like to add something more, or can I go out?
No, there are just very few slides I want to.
Yes. Okay, I stop sharing.
Yeah.
All right, back to you.
Oops, sorry. So this was about the poll. At the end, as I mentioned previously, there are some several links where you can find different ideas how gamification can be implemented in classroom, or some, let's say, some ideas from Lego foundations and things like that. So this is just if you are interested to go deeper into this. This is your starting point, and then of course whatever you find, please feel free to share with us as a comment on the event or the post-event blog that will be posted on Open Space. Before we go,
no, this is just yeah, to end
yes, before that, then I can just go to the other slides briefly. This is the link to our community of innovative educators on Open Space. If you are part of that, but if you are not, this is for you to go on this and to register, so that you will receive more information on what we are doing and what are the blogs or events that are prepared, because we are planning to have at least one event every week, and I think it was more than one block in a week. So there are a lot of things that have happened, but that are coming also too, and it is interesting to be part of this community. So if you're not part of it, feel free to join. The next link is that this is the start of this community, and we are still shaping it and trying to find what you really feel that you need from the community. So your answers to this survey will help us in identifying what are other steps and what kind of approaches we can use, so that the community will be really beneficial for you. So I think this is everything from me. And before we finish, we would like to ask you to evaluate this event.
Yes, so you can, if you can please click again on the same link I just shared. I will also share the screen. It's very easy to do now. Just to say that what was useful of the webinar, where you learned a little, quite some things, or if everything was useful. You see it on the screen, right, Mimosa? It's working.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I think Mimosa, you can see that the participants learned new things, new ideas, and I would like to thank also Bosnian example, because it was really very interesting for all of us. So thank you very much, and I'm sure it will be not the last time you would be sharing this experience with Open Space. Now I hope you will get more attention to this great example. So with this, I would like to close this webinar.
And just one more thing, I'm not sure, probably the participants have joined us a little bit later, and there is a question about the presentations. The presentations will be put on the blog on the Open Space. So of course it will be free for you to download and to use that. Just you need to remember our names, let's say, and then you can find this information directly through, for example, my name.
Okay, so herewith I thank you everybody for your presentation, for your participation, and also Harris also for his presentation, Mimosa, and I hope to see you all to the next webinar of the community, which is I don't know now by heart, Fabio, I think next week or the week after. But there is an agenda of all the events you can find on on the, let's say, the community itself. So we hope to see you there, and we continue our discussion on other topics. So thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Thank you for your participation. Bye.
Thank you.